as he has launched not one but two wars against Iran, as he has launched unilateral strikes in South America and in Africa, as he has overseen a war on vessels in the Caribbean and the Eastern Pacific, as he's blockaded Cuba and threatens to take it along with Greenland. To Donald Trump, war has become easy. It has become a kind of default. And as a result, he has become the president he promised he would never be. Far from his promise to end wars, he is now the president determined to start them, and lots of them.
No plan, no authorization, no vote, 13 dead Americans, and counting. Trump promised he would never start new wars. That promise is gone, not bending, gone. He launched into Iran without asking Congress, without making a case, without a strategy that survived contact with reality. And now his own rationale keeps shifting. Missiles, then not missiles. Regime change, then not regime change. Nuclear threat, from the same president who said Iran's nuclear program was already destroyed. If you want the body count and the bill tracked every day, hit subscribe. Now watch how Schiff built this case from the floor of the Senate.
California.
Mr. President, we are now in the second month of Trump's Iran war, and we have already tragically lost 13 service members, including one Chief Warrant Officer, Robert Marzan, from my home state of California. We are now in the second month of Trump's Iran war, and more than 200 service members have been injured, some very seriously. We are now in the second month of Trump's Iran war, and we have already had 2 American pilots shot down over Iran, necessitating a rescue under extremely dangerous conditions, a heroic rescue, a daring rescue, and one that was only possible because we have the most capable special forces in the world. But a rescue mission that we must all acknowledge put an incredible number of our service members at grave risk and could have easily gone wrong. We are now in the second month of Trump's Iran war, and we have squandered tens of billions of dollars that could have been used to build hospitals and affordable housing, to build child care centers and senior centers, at a time when the president says we can't afford daycare or Medicare or Medicaid. We are now in the second month of Trump's Iran war, and Americans are paying astronomical prices at the gas pump, at the grocery store, on their utility bills and medical bills, but the president's actions and inaction are only making life more unaffordable for our citizens. We are now in the second month of Trump's Iran war, and the president has offered no proposal to even authorize the use of force in Iran, nor have Republicans demanded one. We have not had a single open hearing on the war, nor have Republicans called for one. The case for the war in Iran has never been made, will never be made, and my colleagues will not put the matter to a vote for fear they will lose that vote or be held accountable for it. How long can this go on? And the short, terrible answer is for a very long time. It is beginning to have all of the telltale signs of a quagmire. For this war had no clear purpose. It had no well-defined goal. It had no strategic plan. Its rationale has shifted endlessly with the wind and the whims of the president. It has vacillated between being about regime change and then not about regime change, about missiles and then not about missiles, about oil and then not about oil, about Iran's nuclear threat and then not about its nuclear threat, since the president had said the Iran nuclear program had been obliterated a year earlier. Ironically, the administration's nuclear endgame now sounds a lot like the JCPOA, the much maligned agreement that Trump tore up and now seems reconciled to embrace, the JCPOA or something like it. Iran has blockaded the Strait of Hormuz, sending oil prices skyrocketing, and now the vice president says, two can play at that game. So we're in the blockade business too. How does that help the American family that can't afford to fill up the car, the trucker put out of work, or the farmer with no fertilizer? The simple truth is that this administration has no idea how or when this war will end. It is hard to end a war when you are not clear on why you began it. We can only be certain of one thing. At some point, the president will claim victory. But what kind of victory will it be? One in which Iran, for the first time, can demand tolls from ships passing through Hormuz? One in which the regime has survived and empowered and embittered is even worse, with more crackdowns on the Iranian people, even less tolerance prices because of long-term damage that has been done to Gulf oil and gas infrastructure. One in which Russia is richer and will be richer for the foreseeable future from the higher oil prices it can charge so that it can better fund its war with Ukraine. Is this the victory that Trump will declare? One for which we have paid dearly in blood and treasure, one for which we will have cut health care by $200 billion more for defense to replenish the stocks of the weapons that he has used. Does that sound like victory? Does that feel like victory? In 1984, at the height of the Cold War, Ronald Reagan said this. He said, "History teaches that wars begin when governments believe the price of aggression is cheap." Sadly, the lessons of that history have come to pass. And they have come to pass in the form of a president who now too often sees aggression as cheap.
Here is what Schiff just put on the record, and Republicans refused to answer it. 13 service members dead, 2 pilots shot down, 200 more wounded. And Congress has not held a single open hearing on this war. Not one. No authorization vote. No public testimony from Hegseth or Rubio. Not even a floor debate Republicans will put their names on. Because they know something Schiff said out loud. This war has no defined goal. It vacillates. It shifts. The president said Iran's nuclear program was already obliterated, and then used a nuclear threat to justify a new war. He said regime change causes chaos, and then called for regime change on live television. Now Iran controls the Strait of Hormuz. Oil prices are up, gas prices are up, the grocery bill is up, and we cut health care to pay for it. That is not victory. That is the bill arriving. Trump on Easter Sunday threatened to end an entire civilization. Then a ceasefire was announced 2 weeks later. The war keeps changing shape because the goal keeps changing shape, and nobody in this administration will say under oath what that goal actually is. Schiff invoked Reagan for a reason. Reagan said wars begin when governments believe aggression is cheap. Trump launched strikes into Iran, South America, and Africa, and hasn't lost a single vote in a Republican-controlled Senate because of it. That is how cheap aggression has gotten. The founders put the war power in Congress's hands because they feared exactly this, a president too fond of going to war. What Republican senators are telling the country right now is that fear no longer matters. If this is what the next 2 years look like, someone is going to have to own the quagmire, and the names that voted to block every war powers resolution are already on the record. Hit subscribe. This is not over. The ceasefire expires April 22nd.